Hello, all of my beautiful Aquariuses, and welcome to your reading. So today we are going to be diving in and see what the month ahead has in store for you guys. Now, as you can see, I've already gone ahead and pre-shuffled your cards off camera just to save ourselves some time, but we will be doing additional shuffling towards the end for some additional messages as well. Okay, so I want you guys to definitely pay attention to the messages here. This is for your sun, moon, rising. So if you are a different rising sign, definitely go ahead and check out some of the other videos to see if you have additional messages in those as well. Because we've got a lot, a lot of messages with everybody so far. And honestly, I feel like it's been a lot, but a lot of good. So I'm really excited for everybody. For you guys, I chose this golden heart quartz healer. Now, this in particular, the reason why I was drawn to this, honestly, I don't really know why, to be perfectly honest. I choose all of the crystals that I have assigned per group intuitively. Like, I choose the crystal first before I shuffle. And honestly, this has been always one of my favorites personally. And as a fellow air sign, I felt like maybe that could have been why, just because it just kind of reminded me of like a cloud a little bit with the sun. So that's kind of like how I chose this for you guys. And honestly, it's like I said, one of my favorites. So what this is to represent is supposed to help promote healing if you're going through like a difficult time. It's also supposed to be very grounding and very nurturing. So if you have a hard time like with nurturing yourself or just feeling more secured like with your emotions or, you know, during difficult times, this is supposed to be a very helpful stone. So I'm going to have this here off to the side just in case. So we have that for the energy for our reading. And if you feel like you're drawn to working with that this month, definitely go out and get yourself some golden healer quartz. It's always such a tongue twister for me. But okay. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to start here with your tarot cards, and then we're going to go ahead and go through the rest of your oracle cards. And like I said, we will be shuffling some additional ones towards the end. Okay, so to start us off, we have the Moon card, followed by, oh, the Nine of Swords. Sorry, I have like a itch right on my back. It happened like right as I pulled it. Followed by the Temperance. And we have the Ten of Cups. I love to see that. Okay. Sorry, like that. I hate that feeling when you get on your back, like when just something's like pinching you or whatever, but I have that going on right now, so I do apologize. Okay, so let's take a look here for you guys for this month ahead. What is it that we've got going on? It's really interesting because I feel like we're kind of going to go through it a little bit. But you know, what kind of month wouldn't it be if we didn't go through a little bit of something, right? So I will say there definitely seems to be kind of like at the forefront, something weighing heavy on your mind. And it's almost like your emotions and our subconscious thoughts that we tend to maybe not fully recognize or that we try to keep at bay are starting to come to the surface. And what I mean by that is with the Moon card, as I was mentioning, like this deals with our subconscious, this deals with our intuition, and this also deals with our emotions. So when you have all three of those and when one starts to rise over the other, it can be a little overwhelming. And sometimes we tend to kind of bring it up without realizing we are, like whatever it is that's bothering us or whatever it is that like we've been trying to suppress, but all of a sudden it's coming out at the most random times and we're maybe projecting it onto others without meaning to. And so it becomes like, oh my gosh, like, is it me? Like, that's almost the vibe. Like, is this me? Am I the drama? No, I'm just kidding. No, but it's like you're questioning almost like what's going on? Why is this happening? Why can't I seem to shake this feeling, or why can't I seem to like shake this, you know, emotional outburst almost, because we have that Nine of Swords there, and the Nine of Swords literally deals with like that mental anguish. There's stress, there's anxiety, there's, you know, just a sense of overwhelmingness, you know, to yourself during this time. And it's like you're trying to make sense out of this situation, but because the emotions and everything is so heightened, it can be a little difficult to kind of navigate further as to like what you should do or how you should kind of like fix the situation. So for an example, if you have been, maybe you've dealt with something in the past, or you had an experience in the past, maybe even a traumatic experience in the past, and you never really dealt with it, you kind of just suppressed it and was like, you know, it's in the past, I don't need to think about it anymore. But now for some reason you're getting triggered by it, and something is coming up, and it's like, where is this wave of emotion coming from? Or why am I feeling this sense of like aggression or whatever? And without realizing, it's your subconscious that has been triggered, and you don't really realize it in the moment because you're just reacting and you're not quite sure why you're reacting. So that, I'm telling you, could be why this is coming up, and why you're feeling this kind of mental anguish almost, and where you're trying to really focus and sort everything out and address it. I'm not gonna lie, like I 100% can resonate with that, because I myself too, honestly, lately have been kind of going through that same thing, where like there's things that I've dealt with in my past, and I thought I dealt with it, but in reality, I never really sought treatment. I never sought, you know, therapy or anything else like that. I just kind of like don't talk about it. You know, I try not to even think about it, try not to bring it up, because it was a trauma. So it doesn't serve me to think about it, right? At least that's what I've convinced myself. And lately, literally, I have been having those moments where I'm just like, I cry at the drop of a hat because something triggers me, and it's like, where did that come from? So that's what I'm getting from this, is like your subconscious and your intuition is trying to talk to you and tell you like you need to address these things. And even though you might not want to, you need to, in order to fully heal and move forward. And this is where the Temperance card comes in. The Temperance is all about kind of like having that sense of patience and knowing that this is what it's going to take to move forward into a better outcome, right? So Temperance deals with us being patient with ourselves and kind of giving ourselves that sense of grace, if you will, as we kind of navigate our path forward. Okay. So as we kind of start to, you know, figure everything out, and we kind of start to be maybe a little bit more open and apparent with ourselves, and again, even patient with ourselves, you know, we kind of bring ourselves back into balance, because with this Nine of Swords energy, we're very much, this is what's on our mind. This is what our focus is. We can't seem to quite shake it, even though we try to maybe distract ourselves with work or, you know, other, you know, activities or whatever. It's like at the end of the day, that littlest thing can trigger this onset, and it's like, what the heck? Why am I feeling this way? Why is this even coming up? So be patient with yourself during this time, okay? And allow yourself to just get back into balance. Talk it out if you need to. Go, you know, talk to someone, you know, and even if you're not ready, because I understand therapy isn't always for everybody. Like, you know, some people are very hesitant about going, and that's okay. But just know that like you can still talk to other people, like your close friends or your family, those that you trust with this information. I think it's going to at least just be helpful, so that way you get it out and you don't bottle it up anymore. Okay. So this might be a good time to do that. And again, be patient with yourself as you go through it. And I love here that we have this 10 of Cups at the end, because this is almost like a full circle moment. This is you kind of like getting to that point where after you've been patient with yourself and you've allowed yourself to kind of just open up more and address what your subconscious has been trying to tell you, this is you getting to this point where it's like, okay, I feel more like me. I can find that comfort and safety with those around me, with my family. My relationships are stronger. My relationships with my families or my friends are stronger because I'm not harboring maybe this old resentment that I used to have. Maybe some of those things had to deal with family, you know, because that does come up here with the family card. So, you know, perhaps you could have had a falling out with a family member or something, and you've never fully addressed it, or you've never really, maybe made your peace with that situation. And if that is something that you've been carrying with you and you're starting to see it kind of come up a little bit more, maybe we need to address those things. And if you're not ready to address it with that person directly, totally fine. Again, I never want to like suggest something or like push on you, make it seem like you have to do it. No, like you do what you feel comfortable with. This is just to illuminate and just show you like what's going on basically. And then obviously you can decide if you want to, you know, take those matters into your own hands. Okay. So let's look at your astrological cards and we can get a little bit more info with this situation. So your first card that we have is Scorpio. Okay. So you could have Scorpio in your chart, or you could be dealing with a Scorpio. We have full moon. So we have the moon again. Love that. So yeah, your subconscious and your intuition are really trying to get a hold of you here. We have Virgo. So same thing, could be dealing with a Virgo. You could have Virgo very high in your chart. And we have the planet Venus. Okay. So yeah, we're definitely dealing with some relationships here with that Venus card. It's just more of a, I think, confirmation that that's kind of like where this could be stemming from, something that had to deal either from a past relationship, or again, just something like with your current relationships in your family and how that is affecting you. Okay, kind of getting ahead of myself, but definitely wanted to highlight that. So starting here with the Scorpio card. So as I mentioned earlier at the beginning, you could be dealing with a Scorpio, or this could be that you have Scorpio in your chart, as maybe you're a Scorpio rising, Scorpio moon, you know, things like that. If you are a Scorpio moon, that would explain, I think, the intensity of the emotions. And I say that because Scorpios are very emotional creatures, but they can also be a little aggressive because it's a defense mechanism, almost like, I don't want to show how I can be to others, because I look at that as like, you'll think I'm being weak if I show you my emotion. So if that's how you feel, and this is why you're kind of getting so hard on yourself, that would probably explain why, because if you have that Scorpio moon. Again, if you don't have that, take the Scorpio energy as kind of just like how you are interpreting or feeling during this time. As I said, Scorpios are very intense creatures with their emotions, with their sexuality, you know, with just their overall presence, but not in a negative way. It's just, that's just their presence, their character, you know, and I look at it as a good thing in this sense, just because it's really trying to get you to focus and pay attention. Like, look at this situation. It really requires your attention. You haven't been looking at it before, and now it's coming out in other ways that you almost can't quite explain. This is why, because it's really wanting you to just pay attention. There's a reason here. You need to address that. Okay. As we go to the full moon card. So just like with the moon energy, this is just bringing, illuminating things. And again, really tapping into that subconscious energy. Okay. Now with this as well, this is really just kind of illuminating everything. As I mentioned, like, you're starting to see things more clearer. So use this as a positive, because even if this is kind of showing or highlighting, you know, some faults of our own, or just kind of like how, you know, that hurt or pain that we have been maybe trying to suppress, look at it as more of like a positive, because this is getting you to acknowledge and kind of feel like, okay, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to actually just get this over with, if you will. So regardless, this moon energy is coming up very highly for you, because it really wants you to address this situation. Okay. Now, as we get into Virgo, Virgo energy is very more on the grounding aspect, right? They are an earth sign. So this is much more of like being practical, I feel like, you know, and just kind of looking at it as, okay, now how do I handle this situation? So we've already dealt with our emotions. We've already kind of dealt with like, you know, the what ifs, right? With our mental anguish, our emotion. Now it's time to get more grounded and trying to really just address it and feel like how we can move forward. So that's the one thing I love about Virgo energy, or even any earth sign energy, is it really does kind of keep us to that point where we can start to take action with a more practical plan, because we're more centered, right? We're not all over the place, as, you know, sometimes we can be with, you know, our emotions, or, you know, just our mental anguish. Okay. Now, another thing that I really like to highlight with this Virgo card in specifically, I will say, is kind of just like being able to reaffirm boundaries with yourself and others around you. Okay. Because with Virgo energy in particular, this is really going to be all about how you kind of tend to yourself and your needs. Okay. And if any people or things around you, like even family, if they don't respect your boundaries, you need to like remind them of that. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, like with this 10 of Cups card, this could be dealing very much with a family situation, something that hasn't been addressed, or maybe you've never really spoken up about because that was just something you didn't do. Maybe you were conditioned that, you know, like most of us, we didn't speak up, or we didn't, you know, talk back to our parents or our, you know, elders or whatever, you know. So it's just like, we need to be able to now as an adult find our voice, but using it in a practical and respectful manner, but still in a way that honors us and honors our boundaries. Okay. So that's the one thing with this card in particular, you know, it's meant to kind of teach you how to express yourself more constructively. Okay. So don't kind of wait to, you know, have an emotional outburst, you know, or like let that resentment kind of build up, because then that's when things kind of become worse rather than better. And then no one's going to like really listen. It's going to be more of like a sticky situation rather than like a situation where that could have been, you know, just more so illuminated and helpful. And again, just kind of working together rather than working apart, if that makes sense. Okay. Now, again, as I mentioned with the Venus card, this could be dealing with our love relationships and even just family as well. But this also deals with harmony, you know, and just kind of coming together. So that's why I think it's so great that we have that 10 of Cups, as I mentioned, as like that full circle moment, because it kind of just like highlights, I feel like, to me, you know, this let's come together. I don't want to say like that kumbaya energy, but it almost is, right? It's like, you know, we dealt with the craziness in the beginning, and that was more, I think, just for ourselves that we needed to address. But now we're finding a way that we can, you know, harmonize and make it come together without it being so awkward or it being, you know, too difficult. This is just kind of finding a way again to just come back together in a way that is more healthy, that is, you know, easier for us to be able to maybe get along or be around each other, communicate with each other, you know, whatever it may be. So I love that we have this, and the strong emphasis is love, because I feel like even though this situation, whatever has been kind of weighing on you, or whatever you have been a little bit more anxious about, or maybe even stressed about, I feel like it wasn't like a huge, I think I used trauma in the beginning, but I don't really get that sense now, actually kind of seeing this, that for some of you, it very well could have been, but excuse me. Overall, I don't feel like that was for everybody. I think maybe a couple of you might have been, that could definitely resonate with, but just because usually when there is a big traumatic experience, it's kind of hard to come back from that. I'm not saying it's impossible, it's just harder, but that's why I say, like, there definitely was something there that has obviously never been addressed, and it's definitely been kind of stagnant, and obviously it's creeping back up for a reason, and I think it's to be addressed so we can fix this, so we can resolve this. And I think the biggest thing is because this is going to better serve you, so you no longer feel this way. This doesn't come up another 10, 15 years from now or whatever it may be. Okay. So I do like that we are being very clear and concise with our needs and being able to communicate that, I think, more effectively. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of your oracle cards. So the first one that we have is positive energy. This one's been coming up a lot. So we have surround yourself with positive people and situations and avoid negativity. Yes. Okay. So if there are just negative people in your life that just make it difficult for you to be around them, you know, maybe, yeah, we need to set a boundary, or we just need to not be around them as much. Okay. Or you just cut them out completely. I honestly think it's just because this is affecting you on a deeper level, and we need to recognize that and do what is best for us right now. Okay. The next one that we have is let yourself receive. Allow others to give you loving care. Receive without guilt or apologies. Okay. So yeah, don't be afraid to accept help, especially those who are willing to just be an ear for you to vent to or talk to or whatever, you know. Like I said, if you are somebody who's very more hesitant about going to therapy or whatnot, you know, just finding someone that you feel comfortable enough to talk to, just to kind of get another opinion or just have that reassurance, I think is going to be very beneficial for you. Okay. And don't be afraid to take it. All right, the next one that we have is mother healing. As your feelings towards your mother heal, your desires manifest more rapidly and accurately. Okay, so this could definitely be that family energy that we were talking about. Maybe this is something to do with your relationship with your mother. Okay, and if that is something that has never fully been addressed, I mean, maybe you have a decent relationship with her, but you wish it was closer, or you wish that, you know, some things were addressed that you haven't been able to address before. This might be that time to do that. So this is all about healing. Okay. And then your last one that we have is time to move on. It's time to let go of the old and worn out so that the new can come in. Absolutely. Let go of this negativity. Let go of this need or feeling of like resentment or, you know, just this anxiety, this anguish. This needs to just be let go. And the only way I think you're going to be able to do that is if we address it. Okay. All right, let's take a look at your last cards. The first one that we have is Harvest. As the waves of the ocean are infinite, as the trees in the forest grow tall, let my work now bring me to harvest. I am ready to receive my all. Okay, so yeah, this is you taking, you know, being able to receive the benefits and the rewards of everything that you've worked hard for. So that, again, full circle moment. It doesn't have to be actual like anything physical. It can just be emotional. You know, you're ready to reap this, what you've built towards, or that you're working towards, you know, this relationship. You're wanting to harvest that, this relationship that you've never been able to have before, maybe with your mom or with somebody in your family. This is you being able to get to that point. Okay. The next one that we have is study. Let my mind be clear and strong. Let me study well and long. Okay. Now, I love this for you guys in particular, because I know study can seem like, oh, I'm studying for something with my job or school or whatever. Yes, of course, that could be that. But honestly, I feel like in this in particular, it's more like you learning more about yourself and kind of just looking more inward as to how you can clear your mind and how you can kind of get a hold more of your emotions, your feelings, and how you can create a healthy dialogue and boundaries with those around you. And sometimes that requires us to really study and look inward to do that. So it doesn't mean you necessarily have to pull up a book. I mean, for some it might, but it actually just really means that you're taking the time and investing in yourself and in this situation. You're no longer, you know, pushing it to the side and acting like it doesn't exist. You know, you're giving yourself that time to really look inward. All right. And then your last one, we have letting go. So we have another one of moving on, letting go. Allow the wisdom to remain, but the sting I shall never feel again. Okay. So yes, let it go. Kind of like Elsa, let it go, you know, because this is really having an effect. I think you thought it wouldn't, or you thought it would be over by now because you hadn't really thought about it, or it's been so many years since you've had to deal with it, whatever that situation may be. But you can't fully let go until you address it and then let it go, so that way it doesn't continue to hurt you. Because I think this, obviously, it's coming up. That Nine of Swords, it's coming up. It's still affecting you. So we need to be able to address it so that way it no longer does, okay? All right, I do want to pull you guys some additional messages using the C Melody Oracle cards. So let's take a look and see what your additional messages are. All right, we have journey. So half the treasure is the journey on the path to finding it. Yes, okay? So this definitely is part of your journey. In order for you to get to this 10 of Cups energy, to this harvest energy, you need to, you know, continue on with this. You need to address it, okay? I think just working more on yourself is going to be helpful during this time. Look at this. We have reflect. So this says, peer into the endless ocean and see what peers back. Okay, so doing some self-reflection, looking inward. Again, that moon energy is illuminating things that we didn't think were still there. Okay, so we really need to look inward and see what the truth is, what it is that we're actually going through, what it is that we're actually enduring, because for so long we've been acting like it's not there. I already dealt with it, but it's coming up for a reason. Okay, all right. Love when these jump out. All right, the next one that we have is take the helm, be in control of your own ship. Yes, okay? Don't be afraid to call the shots. Don't be afraid to set those boundaries and just speak up. You are an adult now. You can do that, okay? Sorry, I dropped the last one. So, okay, so we have anchor, keep yourself grounded. Yeah, absolutely. Like we talked about earlier. This is that time where you really need to ground yourself, okay? And honestly, I feel like when you do that, when you start to kind of ground yourself, feel more composed, it will be a lot easier for you to address what needs to be addressed, set those boundaries that you need to, and then be able to feel, I think, more light-hearted and lightened overall, so then that way this no longer has to affect you and come creep back up years down the road. Okay, so Aquarius, that is your reading. Definitely let me know down below if this resonated with you. I would love to hear from you guys. Thank you guys seriously so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and consider giving it a thumbs up, as it truly helps out my channel. I want to thank you guys again. I wish you nothing but love and light, and I will see you guys in my next one.